Welcome to another Takeoff Monday. Today, we're going to be talking about what to consider when taking the plunge to start your business. I'm Rosanna Catalano, and of course, we have my co-host.
Hi, I'm Joy Tootle.
And we have Chrissy Souders to take your comments and questions throughout the show. I'm so excited to be here. This is probably one of my most favorite topics. This is my favorite client that we get in our office is somebody that has an idea that just won't go away and they need someone to talk it through. And usually by the end of our conversation, they see the tremendous potential. I see the tremendous potential, and we are starting to come up with a strategy to launch them. So I'm very excited about today's show and today's topic. Well, I know you're going to start the show today, Joy. So how about you take it away?
All right. Today we're going to talk about different considerations when you want to start a business. Oftentimes the itch to become your own boss starts when you decide that you don't like your current boss, but there are other important things to consider before you turn in your resignation and leap into creating your own business empire. Obviously, today we can't cover every possible consideration before you launch your new venture, but we do want to give you some key things to think about. Let's start with your idea. Do you have an idea that you can't stop thinking about? Is it a service you can provide or a product that you sell? Whatever your idea, make sure it's something that you're absolutely passionate about. If you listen to the Floridaville podcast, we did an interview of Dr. Susan Fiorito. She's the Dean of the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship at FSU. And she shared with us on that podcast that a common characteristic of successful entrepreneurs is that they think about their ideas 24/7. So if you are thinking about your idea 24/7, then that might be a good place to start. This tenacious belief in your idea is needed to give you the ability to weather whatever storm might come your way. And unfortunately, recent events give us plenty of examples of businesses battling serious and unexpected challenges. Often your brilliant idea is tied to some experience that you already have in your industry. And this is ideal because you'll be better prepared to jump into entrepreneurship. If not, it might be wise to consider finding ways to gain some experience before you quit your job. And it's more than just being great at the service that you plan to provide or having the ability to make a unique or a special product. You need to know a lot about business itself. Not everyone who's a great baker should open a bakery. There are so many extra demands on business owners beyond simply doing the task itself. Gaining knowledge about running and managing a business, including things such as hiring, leasing, marketing, those will all put you in a stronger position to start your own venture if you're familiar with those things. Also, think about, can you successfully manage your time on your own? Really think about whether you have those skills that are necessary to be your own boss. Are you self-disciplined? Do you already manage your time well? If so, you're much closer to being ready than if you rely on others for motivation. And you also have to understand the risks. Starting a business involves risk, and business owners must understand that they're taking a risk. It's possible that you won't make a profit. It's possible that you'll grow so quickly that you'll be overwhelmed. Take time to try to gain an understanding of the potential risks and be ready to manage those risks. If you are, then that's a sign that you're ready to launch. The next thing you need to consider is the market. Is there a market for your product or service? And how does that market look? You will have a higher likelihood of success if what you love meets what others are willing to pay for it. So ask your close friends and family, would they be interested in purchasing the product that you're selling or the service that you're providing? Is anyone else offering your product or service? What would distinguish you from competitors in the marketplace? And next is the plan. What is your plan? Cashing out your 401k and pouring it all into a new risky venture and expecting immediate success is not an ideal plan.
No, that makes me nervous just hearing you say that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to develop an eye twitch as you talk about that.
So please, if that's your plan, don't resign from your stable 9-to-5 income producing employment without creating a plan for your new business. Whether that involves a full business plan or even a back of a napkin outline, but keep in mind that there are a number of online resources for creating a business plan. In fact, my 11-year-old daughter recently took a webinar on how kids can create a business plan. And she actually had a full completed PowerPoint presentation and a full business plan at the end of this course. And it was a very short, just 2-hour course. So there are resources. Keep in mind also that we at Rocket Ship Consultants can walk you through a business plan. So contact us if you're stuck on that part of it. Even with a plan, timing is critical. And it's best if you're not in the midst of any major life changes. I know major life changes is when you suddenly get clarity. It makes you want to look for new work. It might give you a new focus or provide incentive to change your goals. And that's great. But make sure you move through that change before you launch. Only after you've given yourself time to recover should you think about launching a new business.
Sometimes it's just too much to jump into something after a major life event, and you should allow some time for yourself to heal from that if it's something traumatic, or to just get your bearings straight. So absolutely, timing is absolutely everything. So let's talk about some of the legal issues. You know, I'm an attorney, you're an attorney, we can't help ourselves, although no one should take this as our legal advice, but just some ideas and suggestions. So when you're starting a business, the law really intersects at this point. Some of the things you should think about, especially at the beginning, is your corporate governance. What is going to be your business identity? The way you choose your business identity will affect your liability going forward, as well as your taxes. So giving a lot of thought to that will really come in handy. Are you going to have employees? You also need to think about how you're going to set that up. Are you going to have employment contracts? Are these going to be at-will employees? Will there be equity compensation? Those are the types of things that you're going to need to consider. You're also going to need to think about technology. If you have an invention and that's why you're starting your business, is your invention going to be protected? Do you have your intellectual property protected? Do you have a patent? Do you have a trademark? Are you going to need a copyright? All of those things you should consider. Also, if you do have this invention and you're going to be seeking out funds, especially with other folks and going out into the community, you're going to need to protect yourself with non-disclosure agreements. If you're selling a product or service, most likely you're going to need a contract in that procurement space. So there again, you're going to need something drafted by an attorney. And lastly, the other thing you should really think about is the regulations. Most services, products, there's some form of regulation and there's going to be some level of compliance on your part. So you have to think about, is there going to be permitting that's required? Do the professionals that work with you, are they properly licensed? And I haven't even touched, we're just talking about the law here, and we haven't even touched on insurance that might be needed. That could be a whole other show. So those are the types of things that you really need to start thinking about when you're putting together your business. Some other things you need to be thinking about is your willingness to learn. Learning with a business is inevitable. You will make mistakes. How are you going to learn from those? Is your ego going to be bruised, or are you going to take a step back, take a deep breath, and really try to dig in and learn from those mistakes? Those are all things you should consider when you're starting a business. You also need to think about sacrifice. There's going to be personal sacrifice, professional sacrifice, and financial sacrifice. I know when I started Rocket Ship Consultants, it was quite the financial sacrifice. I also know that it took a personal toll on me. For years and years, for more than 20 years, I had worked with large teams and large organizations, and to work quietly alone for many hours during the day, someone like me that's very much an extrovert, it really did take its toll on me. So those are the types of things you need to consider. I also remember really thinking about whether I was going to get an office or not. It was a financial stretch for me in the beginning, but I ultimately ended up getting the office. And simply because what I was noticing was, for me as a workaholic, there was no time that I wasn't working when I was working from home. I have a small office here at the house, but I was working all the time. And I didn't realize how much that commute to and from an office was really good for me and good for my mindset. So for my sanity, my kids, my husband's sanity, I secured an office, and I still have my office, which I hope to return to soon because I can see some of those old habits creeping up. And lastly, the thing you really should think about is fear. And it's something we don't talk about too much, but I know this is probably the number one reason why we see clients in our office. And I don't think that these clients are aware of the fear at the time that they make the appointment. They just know that their business is stuck or that they haven't had the ability yet to really take that first step to start their business. And usually that stems from fear. Either it's fear of failure, fear of not being perfect, or a fear actually of success. Will this put more expectations on them? Will this take up more of their time? Will they be more high profile? All of those things can really affect a person and their ability to move forward in their business. So we work with our clients very closely on this aspect. It ends up coming up a lot more than people would think in our one-on-one conversations. And it's something that we are happy to work with people through. We have lots of tips and tricks to overcoming fear, but you have to be willing to take that first step and be a bit courageous. You know, for us, starting this live show, especially during a pandemic, was a risk for us. It was also something that, you know, I'm a perfectionist at heart. I'm just going to reveal all my stuff. I'm a workaholic and a perfectionist. So to not have everything in its place and everything perfect right on the outset was really scary for me, but I decided to do it anyway and overcome that fear. And Joy obviously is always a wonderful help to me. And she was like, let's just go for it. And we did. And there's no turning back. Here we are, episode 3. So, you know, take that first step. And if it's just to call us, take that first step too. So those are the things you really should consider when you're starting a business.
I think that's the thing, though, with the fear, having support, like Rocket Ship Consultants could be a support, or having just somebody there to kind of hold your hand, guide you, and be there will help push you through that fear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I know our first episode we talked about resources during COVID-19, and I think you have some information for us, Joy, some updates.
Yes. Before we conclude, I just wanted to mention that we do have an update on the COVID-19 governmental relief resource programs. On June 5th, the president signed the Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act, HR 7010. And this act eases the rules around how small businesses may use the PPP loan funds. So please go to our website, www.rocketshipconsultants.com, to see our blog for more information.
Right. We just wrote that up the other day. So there's a lot of things that they're going to make this a little easier for the forgiveness portion of those Paycheck Protection Program borrowers. So please be sure to check it out if you are a participant in that program. Well, that wraps up our show today. As always, you're free to contact us. Our email address, my email address is rosanna@rocketshipconsultants.com. And Joy, what's your email address where people can contact you?
Joy@rocketshipconsultants.com.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.